The first light of spring arrives not as a sudden burst, but as a whisper. You step carefully through the forest on this early March morning, your breath still visible in small puffs of mist that dance and disappear among the towering oak trees. The snow beneath your feet has begun its gentle surrender, creating a soft carpet of white that yields to patches of rich, dark earth. Your journal, leather-bound and worn from years of faithful service, rests securely in your satchel alongside charcoal pencils and a small magnifying glass. Today marks the beginning of your year-long chronicle, a patient documentation of this ancient woodland's slow transformation through the seasons. The oaks around you have stood sentinel for centuries, their massive trunks bearing the quiet scars and stories of countless springs before this one. As you settle against the rough bark of a particularly majestic oak, its trunk so wide that 3 people could barely encircle it with outstretched arms, you notice the first signs of awakening. Tiny buds, no larger than peppercorns, dot the ends of branches high above. They carry within them the promise of leaves that will soon unfurl in tender shades of green, creating a living canopy that will shelter the forest floor through the warm months ahead. The silence of winter is beginning to break. Somewhere in the distance, a robin offers its liquid song, clear and sweet in the crisp morning air. Another answers from across a small clearing, and then another, until the forest fills with their gentle conversation. You open your journal to the first pristine page and begin to write, your pencil moving slowly across the paper as you capture the precise quality of this awakening light filtering through bare branches. A chipmunk emerges from a hollow at the base of a nearby tree, its fur slightly rumpled from months of winter sleep. It moves cautiously at first, small paws testing the mixture of snow and earth, then grows bolder, scampering up the trunk with quick, sure movements. You sketch its form quickly, noting the way the morning light catches the subtle stripes along its back. The air carries scents that speak of change. The sharp, clean smell of melting snow mingles with the rich earthiness of thawing soil. Somewhere beneath the forest floor, countless seeds and roots are beginning to stir, preparing for their own emergence into the light. You breathe deeply, letting these fragrances fill your lungs as you continue your careful observations. Water moves nearby, a small stream swollen with snowmelt that gurgles and chuckles as it winds between moss-covered stones. The sound is musical, a constant, gentle accompaniment to your morning's work. You make a note to return later and follow this stream to see where it leads, wondering what other life it might support as the season progresses. A great blue heron appears suddenly at the stream's edge, moving with the fluid grace that makes these birds seem almost supernatural. It stands perfectly still for long moments, head cocked, watching the water with infinite patience. You hold your breath, not wanting to disturb this moment of perfect concentration. When the heron finally moves, stepping carefully through the shallow water, each placement of its feet seems deliberate and wise. The sun climbs higher, and you notice how its strengthening rays have begun to warm the dark patches of exposed earth. Steam rises gently from these spots, creating small wisps of vapor that catch the light before dissolving into the morning air. This is the forest breathing, you think, exhaling the held breath of winter. Your fingers, initially stiff with cold, have warmed as you write, and the pages of your journal begin to fill with observations. The way morning light slants through the oak branches at precisely 45 degrees, the soft, plinking sound of water droplets falling from melting icicles, the rustle of some small creature moving through the layers of fallen leaves that carpet the forest floor. As the morning progresses, more signs of spring reveal themselves to your patient gaze. A red squirrel chatters from high in the canopy, its voice bright and conversational. Somewhere deeper in the forest, a woodpecker begins its rhythmic drumming, the sound echoing among the trees like a heartbeat. You close your eyes briefly, letting these sounds wash over you, Then open them to find a small cluster of tiny green shoots pushing through the earth near your feet. The first chapter of your forest chronicle is beginning to write itself. Around you, the ancient oaks stand witness to another spring's gentle arrival, their deep roots drawing up the season's first nutrients, while their branches prepare to clothe themselves once again in living green. You settle more comfortably against the oak's sturdy trunk, knowing that you have found your place in this timeless story of renewal and growth. The morning mist clings to the forest floor like a gentle embrace, and you find yourself settling beneath the massive oak that has become your observation post. Its trunk, weathered by countless seasons, feels solid and reassuring against your back. The bark's deep ridges tell stories of storms weathered and years accumulated, each groove a chapter in this ancient tree's quiet chronicle. Above you, something magical is unfolding. The oak's branches, which just weeks ago appeared bare and dormant, now shimmer with the tender promise of new life. Tiny buds, no larger than your fingernail, have begun their slow transformation. You watch as one particularly perfect bud unfurls, its tight green casing splitting to reveal the delicate leaf within. The process is so gradual, so peaceful, that you might miss it if you looked away for even a moment. The new leaves emerge in shades of green you hadn't noticed before. Some glow with the pale luminescence of fresh mint, while others carry the deeper tones of sage and forest moss. Each leaf seems to catch and hold the filtered sunlight differently, creating a living stained glass window overhead. The canopy above shifts from sparse to substantial, each day adding another layer to this natural ceiling. A gentle breeze moves through the trees, and the young leaves respond with the softest whisper. Their sound is different from the autumn rustle you remember, lighter, more musical, like wind chimes made of silk. The older oak beside you has already begun to show its fuller foliage, its leaves slightly larger, more confident in their place among the branches. You notice how each tree species keeps its own schedule, following an internal rhythm that has guided it for generations. Through the gradually thickening canopy, dappled sunlight creates an ever-changing pattern on the forest floor. Golden coins of light shift and dance as the leaves above sway gently in the morning air. You watch as these patches of brightness move across the moss-covered ground, illuminating tiny wildflowers that have begun to emerge from their winter sleep. The sound of careful footsteps draws your attention to a small clearing nearby. A doe picks her way delicately through the undergrowth, her coat the color of burnished copper in the filtered light. She moves with such grace that the forest seems to part before her, branches bending slightly as if offering her passage. Her ears twitch occasionally, alert to sounds you cannot hear, but her movements remain unhurried and peaceful. Behind her, a young fawn follows, its legs still finding their confidence among the fallen logs and scattered leaves. The spotted pattern across its back creates perfect camouflage against the dappled light, and you find yourself holding your breath, honored to witness this quiet family moment. They pause near a stream you can hear, but not see, the gentle babble of water over stones adding its voice to the forest's morning symphony. Above in the branches, a pair of squirrels engage in their daily conversation. Their chatter echoes through the trees, a rapid-fire exchange that seems both urgent and playful. One scampers along a thick branch, its fluffy tail twitching with each leap, while the other remains stationary, as if serving as an anchor point for their aerial discussion. Their movements cause the new leaves to tremble slightly, creating tiny waves of green that ripple outward through the canopy. You notice how different trees awaken according to their own perfect timing. The maples burst forth with enthusiasm, their leaves bright and eager, while the oaks take their time, each leaf carefully considered before it commits to the light. The birches add their own delicate contribution, leaves so pale and translucent they seem to glow from within. This staggered awakening creates layers of green, a three-dimensional tapestry that grows more complex each day. As the morning progresses, the forest reveals more of its seasonal secrets. Tiny insects begin their quiet work among the leaves, their presence known more by the gentle movement of branches than by sight. Somewhere in the distance, a woodpecker taps out its steady rhythm against hollow wood, the sound echoing softly through the trees like nature's own metronome. The air carries the green scent of growing things, fresh and clean, with undertones of rich earth and the lingering coolness of morning dew. You breathe deeply, feeling this essence of spring settle into your lungs, becoming part of your own seasonal awakening. The forest's patient transformation continues around you, each moment bringing subtle changes that accumulate into the grand symphony of renewal. Here, among these ancient trees, time moves at nature's pace, unhurried, purposeful, and infinitely peaceful. The dance of new leaves continues overhead, each movement a gentle note in the forest's endless, soothing song. The morning light filters through the canopy above, casting dappled shadows that shift and sway with each gentle breeze. You follow a winding path deeper into the forest, your footsteps soft against the moss-covered earth. The scent of pine and damp soil fills your nostrils, but there's something else, something sweet and delicate carried on the air. As you round a bend in the trail, the dense woodland opens into a breathtaking clearing. Before you stretches a meadow of wild flowers, a living tapestry woven in nature's most gentle hues. The sight takes your breath away, and you pause at the meadow's edge, simply drinking in the peaceful scene. Purple lupines stand tall like cathedral spires, their violet blooms reaching toward the sun. Between them, golden buttercups gleam like scattered coins, their petals so perfectly formed they seem painted by an artist's careful brush. Wild poppies add splashes of coral and peach, their papery petals trembling in the softest breeze. You step carefully into this natural sanctuary, mindful of every footfall. The grass beneath your feet is tender and cool, still damp with morning dew that catches the light like tiny prisms. Each step releases the green scent of crushed stems and the honey-sweet perfume of 1,000 blossoms. A low, contented humming fills the air, the ancient song of the honeybees at their work. You watch as they move from flower to flower with purposeful grace, their fuzzy bodies dusted with golden pollen. They seem unhurried, completely absorbed in their sacred task of gathering nectar. One bee lands on a cluster of wild clover near your feet, its wings catching the sunlight as it delves deep into the purple blooms. Butterflies drift through the meadow, like living petals torn free from their stems. A painted lady butterfly settles on a patch of lavender, its orange and black wings opening and closing in a slow, hypnotic rhythm. Its delicate proboscis uncurls to sip the flower's sweet offering, a moment so tender it feels like witnessing a prayer. You find a fallen log at the meadow's center and settle upon it, becoming part of this peaceful tableau. From here, you can observe the intricate dance of pollination happening all around you. A bumblebee, round and impossibly fuzzy, bumbles from one black-eyed Susan to another, leaving a trail of golden dust in its wake. The flowers seem to nod their approval, heavy with the bees' gentle attention. The meadow breathes with its own rhythm. Grasses sway in unison, creating waves that ripple across the clearing like water. White Queen Anne's lace dots the scene like scattered snowflakes, their intricate flowers resembling tiny doilies crafted by fairy hands. Wild bergamot adds purple accents, its tubular blooms perfectly designed for the long tongues of visiting moths and butterflies. A small copper butterfly alights on your outstretched hand, its wings a burnished orange that glows in the dappled sunlight. You remain perfectly still, honored by this tiny visitor's trust. Its antennae twitch delicately as it explores the salt on your skin, and you marvel at the perfect architecture of its wings, each scale a masterpiece of natural engineering. The sun climbs higher, warming the meadow and intensifying the fragrances around you. The air grows thick with the perfume of wildflowers, sweet, green, and intoxicating. You close your eyes and let the sounds wash over you. The drone of bees, the whisper of wind through petals, the distant trill of a meadowlark hidden in the tall grass. When you open your eyes, you notice the subtle partnerships everywhere. Ants tend tiny aphids on flower stems, protecting them in exchange for sweet honeydew. A spider has woven its web between two stalks of goldenrod, the silk-catching dewdrops that transform it into a string of diamonds. Everything is connected in this gentle ecosystem, each creature playing its part in the meadow's quiet symphony. As the afternoon light begins to slant lower through the trees, you know it's time to leave this peaceful sanctuary. You rise slowly, reluctant to disturb the tranquil scene. Your butterfly friend takes flight, joining its companions in their endless dance among the flowers. You retrace your steps to the forest path, but the meadow's peace travels with you. The memory of wildflowers and butterflies, of busy bees and gentle breezes, settles into your heart like a blessing. Behind you, the meadow continues its ancient work, blooming, pollinating, sustaining life in the most beautiful way possible. The forest path welcomes you back with cool shadows and the whisper of ancient oaks. But part of you remains in that sunlit clearing, forever walking among the wildflowers, forever part of that perfect, peaceful moment where time stands still and nature reveals its most tender secrets. You settle deeper into the emerald heart of summer, where the ancient oaks have woven their leaves into a living cathedral above you. The air here moves differently, cooler, softer, filtered through countless layers of green. Each breath carries the rich scent of earth and growing things, of moss that has grown undisturbed for decades, of ferns that remember the footsteps of creatures long passed into memory. The canopy stretches endlessly overhead, a tapestry of overlapping leaves that catch and scatter sunlight into thousands of tiny, dancing coins of gold. Some rays slip through completely, creating pillars of light that illuminate floating spores and the occasional drift of pollen. Others are caught and held by the leaves themselves, setting them aglow like stained glass windows in nature's own sanctuary. Beneath this verdant ceiling, the forest floor spreads before you like a carpet of living velvet. Here, where the full heat of summer never reaches, ancient ferns unfurl their fronds with deliberate grace. Each new leaf emerges as a perfect spiral, a fiddlehead that slowly, patiently, opens to reveal the intricate patterns written in its veins. Some are delicate lady ferns, their lacy fronds trembling with each subtle breath of air. Others are the robust bracken, standing tall and proud, their triangular leaves creating perfect shade for the smaller plants that huddle beneath them. You kneel beside a fallen oak, a giant that must have stood for centuries before finally surrendering to time and weather. Its bark, once rough and protective, now serves as foundation for an entirely new world. Moss has claimed every surface, transforming the angular edges into soft, rolling hills of the deepest green. Your fingers trace these miniature landscapes, feeling the springy texture, the way each tiny leaf seems to hold moisture from the morning's dew. In the crevices between bark plates, whole ecosystems flourish. Lichens paint abstract murals in shades of silver and pale green, growing with patience that spans decades. Tiny beetles navigate these vertical worlds, their movements barely perceptible as they go about their quiet business. A spider, no larger than a pinhead, tends to a web so delicate it might be made of captured moonbeams. The air itself seems alive with gentle activity. Gnats dance in the filtered light, their movements creating shifting patterns against the backdrop of green. A butterfly, its wings the color of autumn leaves though it's still summer's height, drifts between the fern fronds like a living petal caught in an invisible current. It settles briefly on a moss-covered stone, wings slowly opening and closing, before continuing its unhurried journey deeper into the forest's embrace. You notice how the forest creates its own weather here. The temperature remains constant, neither hot nor cold, as if the trees themselves are breathing out a perfectly conditioned atmosphere. When a breeze stirs the upper branches, it reaches you only as the gentlest whisper, carrying with it the sound of leaves conversing in their ancient language. The humidity hangs at exactly the right level, not oppressive, but enough to keep everything lush and growing. Small sounds punctuate the green silence. The soft drip of condensation falling from leaf to leaf creates a natural percussion, irregular but soothing. Somewhere in the distance, a woodpecker taps out its patient rhythm, not the harsh hammering of urgency, but the methodical work of a craftsman who has all the time in the world. A chipmunk rustles through the undergrowth, its movements creating the softest whisper of disturbed leaves. The very ground beneath your feet tells stories. Layers of fallen leaves, each season's contribution to the forest floor, have decomposed into rich, dark soil that gives slightly with each step. Here and there, mushrooms push through this carpet, some white as pearls, others bearing caps of russet brown or pale yellow. They appear overnight like small miracles, completing their mysterious work of breaking down the old to make way for the new. As you move deeper into this summer sanctuary, you understand why countless small creatures call this place home. In the space between tree trunks, protected from wind and weather, salamanders hide beneath logs. Field mice have worn invisible highways through the undergrowth, their paths marked only by the subtle bending of grass stems. Even the insects seem calmer here, their movements less frantic, more purposeful. The canopy continues its work above you. This living roof that moderates temperature, filters light, and creates perfect conditions for the delicate balance of life below. Every leaf is a solar panel, every branch a support beam in this grand architecture of nature. You realize you're not just walking through a forest, you're inside a living organism, a community that has perfected the art of cooperation over centuries. Here, in the gentle embrace of summer's fullest expression, time moves as slowly as growing moss, and every breath connects you to the patient, ancient wisdom of the oaks. The last traces of daylight fade from the canopy above, and the ancient forest begins its gentle transformation. You settle into your familiar spot beneath the grandfather oak, your leather journal resting open on your lap, a single candle flickering steadily in its glass holder beside you. The flame dances quietly, casting warm golden circles of light that barely reach beyond your small riding space, leaving the rest of the woodland wrapped in soft, welcoming darkness. As twilight deepens, the forest doesn't grow silent, it simply changes its voice. The cheerful chatter of daytime birds gives way to something more mysterious, more intimate. From somewhere high in the oak branches above, you hear the first gentle call of a tawny owl, its voice like distant velvet rolling through the trees. "Too-wit, too-woo," it calls, and from across the clearing, another owl answers in the same soft, questioning tone. You dip your quill in ink and begin to write, your pen scratching quietly against the parchment. The sound blends perfectly with the forest's evening chorus. A barn owl glides past on silent wings, its pale form ghostly and beautiful as it disappears between the tree trunks. You pause in your writing to watch, marveling at how soundlessly it moves, as if it were made of moonlight itself. The air grows cooler now, carrying with it the rich scent of earth and leaves, of moss and the faint sweetness of night-blooming flowers. You pull your woolen cloak a little closer and continue recording your observations. The candlelight wavers gently in the slight breeze, sending shadows dancing across your page. But the flame holds steady, a tiny beacon in the peaceful darkness. Then you see them, the first fireflies of the evening, beginning their ancient dance. One by one, small lights begin to blink among the trees, like fallen stars that have learned to fly. They rise from the undergrowth in lazy spirals, their golden green lights pulsing in no hurry at all. You set down your quill and simply watch, enchanted by their silent performance. The fireflies seem to be speaking to each other in their language of light, each flash a gentle word in a conversation you can almost understand. They drift between the oak trunks, some high, some low, creating a constellation that moves and breathes with the forest itself. One brave firefly ventures close to your candle, hovering near the flame as if curious about this other light in its domain. From deeper in the woods comes the soft rustle of small creatures beginning their nightly activities. A hedgehog, perhaps, or maybe a family of field mice, making their careful way through the undergrowth. You hear the gentle splash of something drinking from the nearby stream, a fox most likely, or a deer come down to taste the cool, clear water. The owl calls again, closer now, and you look up to see its round silhouette perched on a branch not 20 feet away. Its large eyes reflect your candlelight for just a moment before it turns its head with that characteristic owl movement, scanning the forest floor for the small movements that mean dinner. But even this hunting feels peaceful here, part of the natural rhythm that has played out in this forest for hundreds of years. You return to your writing, documenting the appearance of each night creature, the quality of their calls, the way the fireflies seem to favor certain trees over others. Your handwriting flows more slowly now, matching the unhurried pace of the evening. There's no need to rush. The night watchers have all the time in the world, and so do you. A gentle breeze stirs the leaves above, creating a soft susurrus that sounds almost like whispered secrets being shared between the ancient oaks. The candle flame bends but doesn't falter, and in its steady light, you continue your chronicle of this peaceful woodland night. More fireflies emerge now, dozens of them, creating a living constellation that moves through the trees like a slow, gentle dream. Their lights reflect off the dewdrops that are beginning to form on spider webs and grass blades, turning the forest floor into a scattered field of tiny mirrors. As you write your final notes for the evening, recording the temperature, the direction of the breeze, the number of owl calls you've counted, you feel profoundly at peace. Tomorrow will bring new observations, new wonders to document, but for now, this moment is complete. The night watchers continue their quiet activities around you, and you are privileged to be witness to their ancient, gentle world. The candle burns lower, the fireflies dance on, and the owls call softly to one another through the darkness, keeping their patient vigil over this timeless forest. The sound reaches you first, a gentle murmur that seems to rise from the earth itself, weaving through the ancient oaks like a whispered secret. Following this melodic thread deeper into the forest, your footsteps soft on the moss-carpeted ground, you discover the source. A babbling brook that dances between smooth stones, its surface catching fragments of filtered sunlight that pierce the emerald canopy above. This is no ordinary stream, but the very lifeblood of the woodland realm. Crystal clear water flows with unhurried grace, creating a symphony of soft gurgles and gentle splashes as it navigates around weathered boulders and fallen branches. The brook seems to sing as it travels, each ripple and eddy contributing to nature's most soothing lullaby. You settle beside a moss-covered log, your journal open on your lap, and begin to observe this liquid highway that connects every corner of the forest. The water here is so pure you can see straight to the sandy bottom, where tiny pebbles shift and dance in the current like scattered jewels. Patches of emerald water moss sway rhythmically, their fronds moving in perfect harmony with the stream's gentle flow. In the shallows, schools of minnows dart back and forth like living quicksilver, their scales flashing silver and gold as they catch the dappled light. They move as one organism, turning and wheeling with instinctive precision, never seeming to tire of their endless water ballet. Occasionally, a larger trout glides through the deeper pools, its movements deliberate and graceful, barely disturbing the surface as it pauses beneath an overhanging fern frond. Along the banks, the earth tells stories of countless woodland visitors. Delicate deer tracks press into the soft mud, evidence of dawn and dusk pilgrimages to this vital water source. Smaller prints, the tiny star shapes of raccoon paws, the neat ovals left by foxes, create an intricate tapestry in the streamside clay. Even the ancient oaks seem to lean closer here, their massive roots reaching toward the water's edge like fingers seeking refreshment. Water voles have claimed the banks as their domain, their small burrows dotting the earthen walls above the waterline. You watch patiently as one emerges, its dark eyes alert but unafraid. With methodical care, it tends to its streamside garden, nibbling tender grass shoots and arranging small twigs near its burrow entrance. Its movements are purposeful, yet unhurried, perfectly suited to the brook's peaceful rhythm. The stream itself meanders with dreamlike laziness, creating perfect oxbow curves that form quiet backwaters where fallen leaves collect like natural boats. In these still pools, water striders perform their delicate dance across the surface tension, their legs creating tiny dimples that spread in perfect circles before disappearing entirely. Dragonflies hover nearby, their iridescent wings catching the light as they patrol their watery territory with silent efficiency. As afternoon light filters through the canopy, the brook's music seems to deepen and grow richer. The water has carved smooth channels through softer stone, creating natural sculptures that glisten with moisture. Tiny waterfalls, no more than a foot high, cascade over these miniature cliffs with the sound of distant rain on leaves. Each drop seems to carry with it the essence of mountain springs and morning mist. Following the stream's winding path, you discover where it pools beneath a massive fallen oak. This natural dam has created a mirror-still pond, where the reflections of surrounding trees create a perfect underwater forest. The boundary between reality and reflection blurs until you're not certain which world is real and which is the beautiful dream floating beneath the surface. Here, in this secret grove, time seems suspended. The brook whispers ancient stories, tales of spring floods that bring renewal, summer droughts that test resilience, autumn leaves that paint the water gold, and winter ice that preserves the forest's memories until warm days return. Each bubble that rises to the surface carries with it the breath of the deep forest, the essence of life itself flowing endlessly toward distant seas. As evening approaches and shadows lengthen across the water, you close your journal and listen once more to the brook's eternal song. This gentle stream, no wider than you could leap across, serves as the forest's circulatory system, carrying nutrients to every corner of the woodland realm. It connects hilltop springs to valley meadows, linking all living things in an endless cycle of giving and receiving. The babbling brook flows on into the gathering dusk, its voice a constant comfort in the ancient forest. Tomorrow it will still be singing its water song, nurturing the oak grove and all who dwell within its peaceful embrace. Tonight, let its gentle lullaby carry you into dreams as clear and flowing as the stream itself. The harvest moon rises like a golden lantern above the ancient oak canopy, casting everything in warm amber light that seems to make the very air shimmer with possibility. You settle into your familiar spot against the massive trunk of the grandmother oak, her bark worn smooth by countless seasons, and feel the gentle weight of late summer settling around you like a comfortable blanket. The air carries the rich, sweet scent of ripening elderberries, their dark purple clusters hanging heavy from branches like nature's own chandeliers. Somewhere in the distance, an owl calls softly, its voice weaving through the rustling leaves that speak in whispers of the changing season ahead. The forest knows what comes next, and tonight, under this luminous moon, you can feel that ancient wisdom stirring in every shadow and gleam of silver light. A gray squirrel appears at the base of a nearby oak, her cheeks already bulging with the day's harvest of acorns. She moves with purpose but without haste, each motion deliberate and sure. You watch as she buries her treasure in the soft earth near the oak's roots, her tiny paws patting the soil with the care of someone tending a sacred ritual. She pauses, tilts her head as if listening to some inner compass, then scurries up the trunk to disappear into the canopy above, leaving only the gentle scratch of claws on bark and the rustle of leaves in her wake. The moonlight filters down through the branches in shifting patterns of silver and shadow, illuminating patches of moss that seem to glow with their own inner light. A fox emerges from behind a fallen log, her red coat appearing almost ethereal in the moon's glow. She moves like liquid mercury, nose to the ground, following trails of scent that tell stories only she can read. Her brush of a tail sweeps behind her as she pauses beside a cluster of blackberry bushes, where the last fruits of summer hang like dark jewels waiting to be discovered. Above your head, you hear the soft flutter of wings as a family of robins settles into their roost for the night. Their gentle chirping fades to contented murmurs, then to silence, as if they too are listening to the forest's quiet symphony of preparation. In the elderberry bushes nearby, other birds feast on the abundant berries, their soft calls creating a lullaby that seems designed to soothe the very trees themselves. The air grows cooler as the night deepens, carrying with it the mingled scents of earth and leaves, of ripening seeds, and the faint sweetness of wild grapes hanging from their vines. A gentle breeze stirs the branches above, sending down a shower of acorns that land with soft thumps on the forest floor, each one a promise of future oaks that will stand tall long after tonight's moon has waned and waxed countless times again. You close your eyes and let the forest's rhythm wash over you. The grandmother oak's heartbeat seems to pulse through her ancient trunk, a slow and steady rhythm that speaks of centuries of seasons, of countless harvest moons that have lit this same clearing. Her roots stretch deep into the earth, connecting her to every other tree in this ancient grove, sharing nutrients and whispers of seasonal change through networks older than human memory. A deer steps delicately into the moonlit clearing, her coat dappled with silver light that makes her appear almost otherworldly. She moves to a patch of late-blooming wildflowers, lowering her head to graze with unhurried grace. Her presence adds another note to the forest's evening song, a reminder that all creatures, great and small, are part of this intricate dance of preparation and renewal. The harvest moon continues its slow arc across the star-scattered sky, its light growing softer and more golden as the night deepens. The forest around you settles into its quiet rhythm of gathering and storing, of small creatures following instincts honed by countless generations. There is no urgency here, no frantic rush against time, only the steady, timeless patience of nature following its ancient patterns. As you lean back against the oak's sturdy trunk, you feel yourself becoming part of this gentle choreography of preparation. The moon's light seems to seep into your very bones, filling you with the same quiet confidence that guides the squirrels and birds, the same trust in the turning of seasons that has sustained this forest through centuries of change. The night air carries the promise of cooler days ahead, of mornings touched with frost and afternoons painted in the gold and crimson of autumn. But for now, in this moment under the harvest moon's benevolent gaze, there is only the peaceful certainty that all is well, all is as it should be, and the forest's ancient wisdom continues its eternal, comforting cycle. The morning light filters through the canopy differently now, catching on leaves that have begun their ancient dance of transformation. You stand beneath the towering oaks, notebook in hand, as September's cool breath whispers through branches that just weeks ago rustled with the deep green of summer's end. Now, like an artist's palette slowly being mixed, the forest reveals its autumn's secrets one leaf at a time. The great oak beside you, its trunk wide enough that 3 people couldn't wrap their arms around it, wears a crown of gold and amber. Each leaf seems to hold sunlight within its veins, glowing softly in the gentle morning breeze. You reach out to touch one, feeling the subtle change in texture as chlorophyll retreats, leaving behind the warm colors that were always there, hidden and waiting for their moment to shine. Your breath forms small clouds in the crisp air, and you pull your wool sweater a little closer as you make your first notes of the day. The temperature dropped 15 degrees overnight, and with it came the signal that sets the entire forest into motion. This is nature's clock, more precise than any timepiece, marking the passage of seasons with cellular precision. Beneath your feet, the forest floor tells its own story. Yesterday's fallen leaves join those from days before, creating a carpet that rustles and whispers with each step. You bend down to examine a single maple leaf, its edges kissed with scarlet, its center still holding onto summer's green. The veins stand out like delicate lacework, a masterpiece of natural engineering that will soon return to the earth, feeding the roots of the very tree that created it. A gentle breeze stirs the canopy above, and more leaves spiral down like nature's confetti. Some drift slowly, spinning and dancing on invisible currents of air, while others fall straight and true, as if they know exactly where they belong. You watch this aerial ballet, mesmerized by the grace of it all, the way each leaf seems to have its own purpose, its own path to the ground. The scent of autumn fills your nostrils, that unmistakable blend of decomposing leaves, damp earth, and the clean bite of cooling air. It's different from summer's green sweetness or winter's sharp clarity. This is the smell of change itself, of the forest preparing for rest, of life cycling through its endless rhythm of renewal. A red squirrel chatters somewhere in the oak's upper branches, its voice echoing in the still morning air. You look up to see it darting between limbs, gathering acorns with the urgent efficiency of one who knows winter is coming. Its gray cousins work the forest floor, their cheeks bulging with nuts as they scurry between hiding places, creating dozens of small caches they'll need in the months ahead. You settle against the rough bark of your favorite oak, its ancient trunk warm from the morning sun. Opening your notebook, you begin to sketch the scene before you, not just the colors, though they are magnificent, but the feeling of this moment. The way the light slants through leaves that seem lit from within, the pattern of shadows on the forest floor, the gentle curve of branches heavy with the weight of their golden burden. Time seems to slow in this sacred space. Each falling leaf becomes a meditation, each rustle of wind through the canopy a prayer. You understand now why ancient peoples saw spirits in these woods, why they felt the presence of something larger than themselves among these towering sentinels. There is magic here, but it's the magic of natural process, of cycles that have repeated for thousands of years, of trees that have witnessed centuries pass beneath their branches. As the morning progresses, you notice how the quality of light changes. The harsh brightness of summer has given way to something softer, more golden, as if the sun itself has learned the gentler ways of autumn. Everything seems touched with warmth, even as the air grows cooler. The forest glows with an inner fire, each tree a torch of color against the softening sky. You close your notebook as the sun climbs higher, knowing you'll return tomorrow to witness another day of this magnificent transformation. The forest doesn't change in dramatic leaps, but in gentle whispers, in the slow dance of seasons that reminds you that all things have their time. As you walk the familiar path back through the rustling carpet of leaves, you carry with you the peace of this place, the quiet wisdom of trees that know how to let go gracefully, painting the world in beauty as they prepare for winter's rest. You wake before dawn this morning, drawn by a soft rustling that seems to fill the entire forest canopy. The air carries a new quality, a restlessness, an anticipation that speaks of journeys about to begin. As you step from your cabin into the cool October air, you notice the ancient oaks themselves seem to be holding their breath, their massive branches perfectly still in the pre-dawn quiet. Above you, the sky lightens slowly from deep indigo to pale rose, and with the growing light comes the sound that called you from sleep. Thousands upon thousands of wings, beating in gentle rhythm, create a whispered symphony that rises and falls like distant ocean waves. The great migration has begun. You settle into your favorite observation spot beneath the grandfather oak, its trunk so wide that 3 people couldn't wrap their arms around it. Your journal rests open on your lap, but for now, you simply watch. High overhead, the first formation appears. A perfect V of Canada geese, their honking calls echoing through the morning stillness. They move with ancient purpose, following invisible highways written in their very bones. The geese are followed by smaller birds. Wave after wave of warblers, their tiny bodies no bigger than your thumb, yet carrying within them the courage to cross entire continents. They gather in the oak branches around you, thousands of them, their collective chirping creating a gentle chorus that seems to celebrate the adventure ahead. Yellow warblers flash like living sunbeams among the autumn leaves. Ruby-crowned kinglets dart between branches, their energy infectious despite their diminutive size. You watch a group of wood thrushes as they prepare for their journey. These gentle birds, whose evening songs have serenaded your summer evenings, now cluster together with quiet determination. Their spotted breasts catch the early morning light as they feed on the last of the season's berries, storing energy for the remarkable journey ahead. Some will fly as far as Central America, navigating by stars you can barely see, following pathways their ancestors have traveled for millennia. A rustle in the leaves beside you draws your attention to a different kind of migration preparation. A family of red squirrels works with industrious focus, gathering the last acorns from the oak's generous bounty. Unlike the birds, these forest residents will remain, but they too are preparing for the season ahead. Their cheeks bulge comically with nuts as they scamper up and down the ancient bark, adding to winter stores hidden in dozens of secret caches throughout the forest. The morning progresses, and with it comes a parade of departing species. Broad-winged hawks circle high above, riding the thermal currents that will carry them southward. Their wings catch the sunlight as they spiral upward, disappearing into the vast blue canvas of sky. Ruby-throated hummingbirds, impossibly tiny and jewel-bright, zip between the remaining trumpet flowers, fueling their bodies for a journey that will take them across the Gulf of Mexico in a single, extraordinary flight. As you write in your journal, documenting the species and their behaviors, you become aware of the profound quiet that follows each departure. The forest is slowly emptying of its summer voices, yet there is no sadness in this leaving, only the deep satisfaction of natural rhythms unfolding as they have for countless generations. But the forest will not be silent. Around you, the permanent residents go about their preparations with calm efficiency. A pileated woodpecker drums steadily against a dead snag, creating next year's nesting cavity while searching for insect larvae that will sustain him through winter. His powerful beak echoes through the woods like a gentle heartbeat. White-breasted nuthatches spiral down the oak trunks head first, their acrobatic feeding style unchanged by the season's transition. Their nasal calls ring out cheerfully, as if welcoming the quieter months ahead. These loyal residents will be your companions through the snow and ice, their presence a reminder that home can be found in staying as surely as in going. As the sun climbs higher, painting the autumn leaves in shades of amber and gold, you notice how the light itself seems different, softer somehow, more golden, as if the very air knows that winter is approaching. The migrating birds above cast fleeting shadows on your journal pages, temporary visitors in this moment of transition. A great blue heron passes overhead, its massive wings beating with slow, measured strokes. Unlike the smaller birds that travel in chattering flocks, the heron flies in solitary dignity, following the river valleys southward with patient grace. You watch until it disappears beyond the tree line, carrying with it another thread of summer. The morning's migration spectacle begins to quiet as the sun reaches its full strength. Most of the travelers have passed, following ancient paths written in their hearts. You close your journal softly, your pages now filled with observations of this remarkable transition. The forest around you settles into a different rhythm, preparing for the intimate season ahead when only the most devoted residents will call these woods home. The morning arrives with a crystalline whisper, as if the forest has been touched by the breath of winter itself. You step carefully along the familiar path, your boots crunching softly on leaves that sparkle like scattered diamonds. The first frost has arrived, transforming your ancient woodland into something ethereal and magical. Each blade of grass wears a crown of ice, delicate and precise, as though nature's finest artisan has worked through the night. The air is sharp and clean, filling your lungs with a clarity that seems to awaken every sense. Your breath forms small clouds that drift and dissolve, becoming part of the forest's own gentle exhalation. The ancient oaks stand like silent sentinels, their massive trunks dark against the silver-touched landscape. Their bark appears deeper, richer somehow, contrasting beautifully with the frost that traces every groove and crevice. High above, their remaining leaves hang like burnished copper coins, occasionally releasing one or two to spiral gracefully earthward, landing with the softest whisper on the frosted ground below. You pause beside a spider's web stretched between two low branches and marvel at winter's artistry. What was invisible yesterday now gleams like the finest lacework, each strand beaded with perfect spheres of ice. The web trembles slightly in the gentle morning breeze, catching and reflecting light in tiny rainbow fragments. It's as if the forest has been decorated by fairy hands, each web a masterpiece of natural engineering made visible by frost's gentle touch. The silence is profound yet alive. Gone are the summer choruses of birds and insects, replaced by something deeper and more contemplative. The quiet crunching of your footsteps becomes a meditation, each step connecting you more intimately with this transformed landscape. Somewhere in the distance, a single bird calls softly, its voice carrying clearly through the crystalline air. You settle onto your usual fallen log, now wearing its own coat of silver frost. The cold seeps through your layers, but it's not unwelcome. There's something invigorating about it, something that makes you feel more present, more aware of this moment suspended between autumn's warmth and winter's embrace. The stream still flows, but more quietly now, its edges beginning to wear delicate collars of ice. The water catches the early light, creating a ribbon of liquid mercury winding through the frosted landscape. You listen to its gentle murmuring, a sound that seems softer somehow, muffled by the cold air and the forest's new stillness. Around you, the forest demonstrates its remarkable ability to adapt. The ferns have curled their fronds inward, protecting their tender hearts from the cold. Moss on the oak trunks appears more vibrant, almost luminous against the gray-brown bark. Even the smallest details speak of nature's wisdom, how every living thing knows instinctively how to welcome winter's arrival. A deer moves through the trees in the distance, its coat thick and winter-ready. It steps delicately, almost reverently, through the frost-touched undergrowth. For a moment, your eyes meet across the silver space, two beings sharing this crystalline morning. Then it continues on its way, leaving only the faintest of tracks in the frost-bent grass. You pull your journal from your pack, the pages crisp in the cold air. Your pen moves slowly, thoughtfully, recording not just what you see but what you feel. The forest's patience, its quiet dignity as it prepares for the season ahead. There's no resistance here, no struggle against the changing seasons, only acceptance, adaptation, and a deep, abiding grace. The sun climbs higher, and already you can see the frost beginning to retreat from the warmest spots. Drops of water form on grass blades and leaves, tiny magnifying glasses that make the world appear both smaller and infinitely larger. Steam begins to rise from patches of ground where sunlight penetrates the canopy, creating ephemeral veils that drift and dissipate like morning dreams. You know that by afternoon, much of this frost-touched magic will have melted away, returning to earth and air. But for now, in this perfect moment, the forest wears winter's first gift with quiet elegance. Every surface transformed, every familiar sight made new, every breath a reminder of the season's gentle but inevitable approach. As you close your journal and prepare to continue your walk, you feel a deep gratitude for witnessing this transformation. The forest has shared another of its secrets with you: how beauty can emerge from change, how grace can be found in letting go, and how even the coldest morning can warm the soul of those who take the time to truly see. The snow began falling 3 days ago, and now the ancient oaks stand draped in winter's finest garment. Each flake has settled with deliberate care, transforming every branch into a sculpture of pristine white. You move slowly between these towering guardians, your footsteps muffled by the thick carpet beneath your feet, each step creating the softest whisper in the profound quiet that has settled over the forest like a gentle blessing. The air is crisp and clean, carrying the scent of snow and sleeping wood. Your breath forms small clouds that dissipate quickly in the still air, and you pause to listen to the extraordinary silence that only winter can bring. It's not an empty silence, but rather a full, rich quiet, the sound of the forest holding its breath, of life resting peacefully in its natural rhythm of seasons. Above you, the bare branches of the oaks create an intricate lacework against the pearl-gray sky. Snow has gathered in the crooks of branches, forming soft pillows of white that catch what little light filters through the overcast heavens. Occasionally, a gentle breeze stirs the highest branches, and a small cascade of snow drifts down like powdered sugar, landing soundlessly on the forest floor. You settle against the broad trunk of your favorite oak, feeling the rough bark through your warm clothes. The tree stands patient and still, its massive presence both protective and comforting. Under the snow, you know the roots continue their slow work, drawing sustenance from deep within the earth, keeping the great tree anchored and nourished even in this time of surface rest. In the distance, you glimpse the quick flash of a cardinal's red wing against the white canvas of snow-laden branches. The bird moves with quiet purpose, finding shelter in the evergreen understory, where needles still hold their deep green color. A squirrel has left delicate tracks leading to the base of a nearby oak, disappearing into what you know must be a warm nest high in the hollow of the trunk. The forest floor tells stories written in the snow. Here, the careful prints of a deer who passed in the early morning hours, moving with grace between the trees. There, the tiny impressions left by field mice as they scurried from one sheltered spot to another. Each track is a reminder that even in winter's deep rest, life continues its gentle dance, adapted and prepared for these quiet months. You close your eyes and listen to the subtle sounds of winter, the occasional soft settling of snow as it shifts on a branch, the distant tapping of a woodpecker, muffled by the snowy air, the whisper of wind moving through the bare canopy, a sound entirely different from summer's full-leafed rustle, more delicate, more crystalline, like nature's own wind chimes playing a lullaby. Opening your eyes, you notice how the snow has transformed familiar landmarks. The old fallen log, where you often sat in warmer months, now resembles a sleeping giant, rounded and softened under its white blanket. The small creek that bubbled merrily through autumn has slowed to a gentle murmur beneath a thin sheet of ice, decorated with frost patterns that look like delicate fern fronds. This is the forest's time of deep dreaming, when the frantic activity of spring growth, summer abundance, and autumn harvest gives way to profound rest. The trees stand in meditation, their energy drawn inward, conserving and renewing for the eventual return of warmth. In their patient stillness, there is a lesson about the wisdom of rest, the necessity of quiet seasons in the cycle of all living things. A soft gust of wind sends more snow spiraling down around you, and you tilt your face upward to feel the cool touch of individual flakes on your cheeks. Each one is unique, a tiny masterpiece that will soon melt and become part of the greater whole, nourishing the sleeping roots and waiting soil. As twilight approaches, the snow seems to glow with its own soft light, reflecting what remains of the day's brightness. The forest takes on an ethereal quality, as if you've stepped into a peaceful dream where time moves slowly and every moment stretches into gentle eternity. You rise from your resting place, brushing snow from your clothes, and take one last look around this transformed landscape. The ancient oaks stand sentinel in their winter robes, guardians of the sleeping forest, holders of centuries of winters just like this one. In their enduring presence, you find a deep sense of peace and continuity, knowing that this quiet season is not an ending, but a necessary pause in the eternal story of growth, rest, and renewal that defines all life in the forest. The morning mist rises gently from the forest floor, carrying with it the whispered secrets of 12 months spent among these ancient sentinels. You close your leather-bound journal, its pages now filled with the careful observations of a full year's turning. The weight of it in your hands feels both complete and somehow eternal, as if the forest itself has breathed its wisdom into these words. Around you, the great oaks stand as they have for centuries, their massive trunks bearing the scars and stories of countless seasons. The chronicle you have written captures but a single breath in their long, patient lives. Yet in that breath, you have witnessed the entire universe of their existence. The slow unfurling of spring leaves, the deep green abundance of summer, the golden transformation of autumn, and the stark, honest beauty of winter's rest. The light filtering through the canopy this morning carries a familiar quality, the same gentle warmth that first drew you here 12 months ago. But you are changed now, shaped by countless dawn walks through dappled shadows, afternoon rests against bark worn smooth by time, and evening vigils watching the forest settle into its nightly peace. The chronicler who began this journey was eager to document and catalog. The one who completes it understands that some truths can only be lived, not written. You run your fingers along the rough bark of your favorite oak, the one whose hollow became your writing desk, whose roots cradled your morning meditations. Beneath your touch, you feel the subtle pulse of sap beginning its spring journey, the ancient circulation that has flowed uninterrupted for decades beyond counting. This tree was already mature when your grandparents were children, already wise when the world moved at the pace of seasons rather than seconds. The forest floor beneath your feet tells its own story of cycles within cycles. Last autumn's leaves, now transformed into rich humus, nourish the tender shoots of new growth pushing through the earth. Nothing here is ever truly lost. Every fallen branch becomes a nursery for moss and lichen. Every departed creature returns its essence to the soil that feeds the living. Death and birth, endings and beginnings, are revealed as movements in a single, continuous dance. A red squirrel chatters softly in the branches above, perhaps the same one whose busy preparations for winter you documented months ago. Its descendants will inherit these trees, will know the secret pathways through the canopy that you have learned to recognize from below. The continuity stretches both backward and forward, an unbroken chain of small lives woven into the greater tapestry of the forest's existence. As you gather your simple belongings, you realize that this ending is itself a beginning. The forest has taught you that conclusions are merely pause points in longer stories. Your chronicles will find their way to other seekers, other quiet observers who hunger for the peace that only comes from aligning oneself with nature's rhythms. The words you have written will plant seeds in minds that have forgotten how to listen to the whispers of growing things. The path that leads away from your year among the oak's winds, gently toward the world of human urgency and artificial light. But you carry with you now an internal compass calibrated to deeper time, a patience learned from trees that measure their lives in centuries rather than heartbeats. The forest's greatest gift was not the knowledge recorded in your journal, but the transformation worked quietly within your soul. You pause at the forest's edge and turn back once more. The ancient oaks seem to nod in the breeze, a gentle benediction for the journey ahead. Their lesson echoes in the rustling of leaves, that all things are connected, that change and permanence are partners in an eternal dance, that wisdom comes to those who learn to move at the speed of seasons rather than seconds. The chronicles are complete, but the forest story continues, as it has for millennia, as it will long after your footsteps fade from memory. In learning to read the forest's patient language, you have discovered your own place in the endless story of earth and sky, root and branch, the turning wheel of seasons that carries all life forward in its gentle, inexorable embrace.